All right. Sorry about that interruption, but then let's resume. Today, we are going to talk about family relations and dynamics with Samkeliso Shabangu. So, while we wait for him, that after every February session, the last week of every month, I need you guys to hop into my Facebook account, like the page, follow the page, and then comment by maybe summarizing the whole month sessions or sharing what you learned from it. And then the most insightful or the most captivating comment will then be voted on by the audience, such that, yes, I see you, Mr. Shabangu. Can you accept my invite? But if you can't see the invite, can you request to join? So yes, whoever wins in the comment section will get themselves, I will send them these personally. A pair of the February edition earrings, free of charge, free gift, and a certificate of participation, and a share of a Eswatini mobile airtime. January, nobody even attempted to join the competition. Hence, nobody won. So I'm saying, why you guys, I'm disappointed in you. So, anyways, let's wait for Mr. Samkeliso Shabangu to accept the invite. Yes, sir. Either you accept the invite or you request to join. Oh, can't wait to tackle this topic. It's about family dynamics. It's about family relations and dynamics. So whether young or old, it involves you. If you're young, yes, it means you're part of a family and you're going to make a family of your own in the near future. And if you're old, it means that you're part of a family still. And maybe in the very nearest future, you're also going to make your own family. Either way, family, what is an integral part for all of us. So, yeah. Let's wait for Mr. Samkeliso Shabangu. Okay. I hope you're getting the invite, sir. Okay, let's patiently wait. Do, 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 do. Yes, I'm advertising my earrings. Maybe you guys will care to join the competition this time around because you are seeing them nice and clear, nice and easy. This will be yours. Imagine. Okay, let me send again the invite, sir. Okay. What about now? If you're not getting the in, oh, perfect. Boo, 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 boo. We see you. Can you turn around your camera, sir?
Thanks.
Yes. Hi, boo, 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 boo. Welcome, welcome. Oh, you are so smart. Imagine. By the way, guys, just in your background story, I literally forced his hand to make an Instagram account. He's so smart. He maneuvered this whole thing on his own. Clap hands. A round of applause for Mr. Shabangu. Boo, 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 boo. How are you, sir?
Fine, how are you
I'm
today?
excellent. I'm excellent. Thank you, Mr. Shabangu, for being here. We truly appreciate your time, your resources, and everything around you, putting you in this life and making it a success.
Thank you
So,
so much.
today, Mr. Shabangu, we are going to talk about family relations and dynamics. Can you just introduce yourself? Who is Mr. Shabangu, and why does Mr. Shabangu think that he is actually a perfect fit to teach us about such a topic and just discuss this topic with us? Over to you, sir.
so much. I hope my voice is audible. Thank you. So Samkeliso Shabangu. Um, where do I even start? Maybe let me start with saying I believe in God. Um, I was born in a family of six. Um, my when I was 6 years old, my father passed away, and I was raised by a single mother with the help of the extended family. And I think through the lack or all those things that I never got passion for ensuring that all the necessary things that are needed in the family are, are fulfilled. And it also created a desire for me to ensure that people that I meet as I live who are going through maybe what I went through, either in a lesser form or maybe in a more extreme form, I felt obliged to say I shall lend a hand where I can. And then by profession, I'm a medical doctor. And even where I work, in the space that I work, all of the time, most of the problems, whether they are physical, mental, they have something to do with where we come from. So I guess my qualification for this topic is my passion more than anything. I'm not in any way a specialist in this, but I just have passion for it. And through that passion, I also, through the church and other spaces, work a lot with men, trying to get men to be in their best version so that they can be the best leaders for the family. Because a lot of the social ills that we see and the disintegration of the family that we see comes from the fact that men are in a space where they are carrying a lot, where they feel inadequate, where they feel ignored, and all those things. So, yeah, I hope it captures everything. I'm also a shy person, so I may be a bit brief for things. So please probe me, beacon of light. Thank you for having me on stage, and greetings to everyone who's here with us. Thank you.
Woohoo, woohoo. Ah, shame. Mr. Shabangu, truly we are yours. Cook us. Just cook us. Just cook us. Cook us, cook us. Don't worry about the shyness. Just speak as if you're just in your own space. We're not here. It's just you and your intellect. Cook us, please. Cook us, please. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. You're doing a great job hyping me up. Um, so good people. As said, I'm not a specialist in this, but I just thought I would be a facilitator of a conversation that we can probably have together, because we all have some form of expertise or experience that we come with from how we've experienced this entity called family. So, by definition, it is said that family is a group of two or more parents and children who live together. But as we know, life has made it to become so complex and so diverse, such that you can't really define it in a few sentences because it is different things for different people. Excuse me, I'll be just checking a bit on my notes on the side because I don't want to forget things. So, another definition that I liked, which is a bit more in keeping with what was happening yesterday, it says that family are descendants of a common ancestor. So, if we come from the same ancestors, regardless of where life has put you by either resources or qualifications or whatever, we are family, whether you like it or not. Um, Now, in my experience, the other thing that I've seen is today, in as much as we have to accept that family is dynamic and with time, how it's constituted, it's bound to change. But we've become a bit more selfish as a people, such that how we define it, it does not come from its initial broad meaning, but we define it to our convenience. And I would like to stick with these two definitions that I've stated to say that it is where those two or more parents, whether it's by birth, they're related by birth or by marriage, or it could be a situation where you find that the children are adopted by the parents. Um, Now we know that there's different kinds of these families. For being a nuclear family, where it's just parent, mother, father, and the children staying probably in that small compound where they keep things tight amongst themselves. Then we have an extended family where even further up the line, the grandparents may be involved, aunties, uncles, cousins, they may stay in one compound. Um, then, in terms of the parenting, we may have a family where both parents are available. And then now we also have, as the one that I come from, single parent headed families, which are becoming quite prevalent these days. And they come with their own complexities. And then we have step families as well, where you find that one parent has remarried or has started living with another partner, and you find that the children are biologically belonging to one parent and not necessarily the other. Um, Now, moving on to the family dynamics. This is too broad. I can't capture it. I really am looking forward to a conversation at the end, because if I were to just speak, I'll probably speak until everyone is sleeping, because there's a lot. It's a very broad and yet very important topic. So now I just took a certain angle, not to necessarily say that if we speak family dynamics, that's all you can ever say. We can raise more at the end. I'm willing to discuss. I'm prepared to discuss. But things that I just thought we could mention or go through is that in a family, different characters come together to either start or form part of an institution. So we're part of one entity, but we're different characters. And this character may be built by something innate or something that you are born with. We could either say it's your purpose, it's God's purpose of you, can be genetics, to find that the expression of your being is different because of your genetic makeup, or it could be because of the experiences. We'll explain that a bit later. To say that even if we're children of the same parents, because they give birth to us at different times, we have different experiences, and thus we become different beings. And yet we have to relate to each other in a manner that makes this entity to function. So now I stage it a bit and say, in terms of this dynamics, what is the role for the parents and what is the role for the children and maybe any other supporting relatives? So for the parents, first and foremost, it's for them to conceive and understand the vision or the purpose of that family, because families are the simple or the smallest building blocks of society and nations at large. So each block is unique and brings with it a different function, a different flavor, a different whatever you may put it, to say that a Dlamini family has its role in the Swazi society. A Shabangu family has its role in the Swazi society. A Mokoena family has its role in the South African society, just as much as a Zulu family may have its role in that particular society. So it is important for the parents to conceive and understand fully, why did God bring us together as a couple to give birth to these children? And thus, it then will speak to, what do we have to give them? What kind of education? What kind of exposure to maybe extracurricular activities and all of this and all of that? What kind of spiritual alignment should we give ourselves into? I'll speak beacon of light. I'll be a bit open-minded here. For me, it's straightforward. I'll just say they need to understand what is God saying to them about this entity that they call family. So, but then we know spirituality nowadays, people have broadened it so much, and I'd like to respect that and say, for people who who believe in other spiritual alignments. But in as much, even in God Himself, we have different denominations. So when you have perceived the purpose, you need to understand which church should I take my children to. So that's the first and foremost and the most important thing for the parents to understand the purpose. And once you've understood, to nurture it, to make sure that your children understand it and they go with it, and they shall live by it even beyond you. And oftentimes, family does not begin today. You are not the beginning of your family. If you're a parent now, your parents were not the beginning of your family. It's a legacy. It's a heritage thing. It comes from many forefathers that came before you. And as I was preparing, I was thinking, some of us, if not all of us, are a thought of a forefather. You are a prayer of someone that preceded you. And thus it becomes vital to know in the entire lineage, what were we about? You know. Now, if you believe in God, because God is in the end and in the beginning, it becomes easier, because when you connect with Him, He will download something that was started or that was hidden in the heart of a grandfather or a forefather of yours that is 6 generations from now. God will reveal it to you and make it easier for you to express it. But in our physical nature, it becomes then important to like, for instance, in the African texture context. That is why it was very important back in the days to sit and listen to all people speak, because it is from there that they were able to download what is the baton that we are carrying as this particular family. What are things that we have to pay respect to? Speaking about diet, what shouldn't we eat? What kind of spaces shouldn't we interact in, and all of this and all of that. And in my view, I think particularly for us as Africans, that is where we're missing things. We tend to be selfish about family. I would now start thinking, because I'm a doctor, my family is just going to be people who are focusing on health. And when God blesses us with resources, we're focused about not living below a certain level and stuff like that, and forgetting now what it is that we're here on earth for at this current juncture. The other thing to note is that as we live in family, our parents, or you as a parent, may have struggles with relating to your partner, which may bring forth a dynamic shift in what that particular family stands for and what it is actually defined as. So it's always important to pay particular attention to how we deal with struggles and challenges that we may face as we live, because those are guaranteed. They will come either ways. So it's not to be taken personal, but just take it as a patch and be innovative in how you can come forth with solutions to ensure that you are able to pass through that page without losing that identity of belonging to one entity. So I was thinking, we always have to know that we were not brought together by choice. It's not our doing that we are called family with your brother, your sister, your father, and your mother. If we always have that in mind, to know that I did not choose these people, God chose them for me, and He chose me for them because there's a certain purpose, then it makes it such that even when we slip away from each other because of problems, it must be natural for you to want to go back, because you know that as long as you live, there is a purpose. I was thinking of it as if we're part of a car. Imagine an instance where the steering wheel can be so upset with the front wheels that it decides, no, I'm no longer moving in any direction, or I'm no longer gonna work in unison with you. Then it means the car won't move. And just like as I make an example with the car, there are big parts like the engine, the gearbox, and all these others. Then there are small smaller parts, like you can look at the side indicators for the car. All of these are vital, because if your side indicator is not working, when you turn, the person behind you may not know that you're turning, and they will ram into you, and then the whole car will be destroyed. So just like it is in the family, we have got older people, we have younger people, we have educated, we have uneducated people, but we all bring with us something unique to us and yet vital for the next people. And for us as a whole to exist and fully express that which were brought together as purpose. So it is important to understand that we may be different, but we all bring with us something important that does not only benefit us, but it benefits the society that we're brought into. Because, as I said earlier, family is the single most, the singular building block of society. So when the family dysfunctions or it doesn't function accordingly, then the society won't work. And thus we'll see all these ills that we're seeing in society and in our nations. And these things, they start as small as a brother and a brother fighting over maybe something small. If they don't forgive each other, then it goes to a rift where you'd find that now from one family we have factions. And when we have those factions, imagine when they become powerful, they both have money and they both don't like each other. Then you may actually have a war starting because two people never forgave each other. So that is why it's very important to navigate all these dynamics. And the last thing that I wanted to talk about other parents is teaching and modeling, which is a responsibility that they have over their children. So, as I said, we are a continuation of a line that started many ages ago, many generations in the past. So, it is important for our parents to teach us what they know, what they were taught by our grandparents and their great grandparents, so that we're able to conceive, take the baton, and know the important things for our families. But more than teaching, it's more so important for them to model us, or it's important for you, parents, to model your children. Things that you behave in a manner. Sorry, I just got a call. You behave in a manner that will make it clear for your children who they ought to be, how they ought to be. Because especially younger children, they tend to be influenced more by what they see us do rather than what they hear us say to them. So parents also carry that responsibility. Moving on to children, one thing that I found interesting is just that for the purpose of today, I don't think we'll delve much deeper into it, is the issue of birth order and the responsibility and character that it bestows upon a person. So what do I mean by that? Um, I, I mean a firstborn has a different responsibility in a family, different from a lastborn. And we know the story about that each of these people tend to have different characters. Firstborn, we often call them deputy parents. They have that responsibility of helping the parents with fulfilling the family duties and needs because they are senior to the rest of the siblings by age. And that tends to affect them in a certain way psychologically because they tend to forgo themselves. They have to mature faster so that they can assist at the soonest. And you find that now they don't enjoy certain aspects of their childhood. And it then carries on to when they become adults and they may relate to their children a certain way. Same goes for the middle children, who are said to be in most cases people who are fighting for attention because the deputy parent is there doing the things, the parents are happy so they recognize them. The lastborn is said to be the vulnerable one, so parents give extra attention to them, and that is why they tend to be spoiled in most cases. Not all of them. I have to be sensitive in case the class ones here. Not all of them, but they tend to be spoiled because parents are giving their last bit of parent. So there's all these dynamics. And even when we are dealing with problems, you'd find that the characters or the aura that we exude during the time when we're trying to deal with these issues comes from these kind of aspects that are brought about by where we stand in the line in the family. So now, as you fight with your last born brother or sister, we have to remember that that is daddy's or mommy's little one. So you probably want to be a bit softer when you're dealing with the last born. Same thing as when you are in conflict with the firstborn. Those people tend to be more focused on responsibility. They tend to be more focused on moving forward, getting things done. So you may want to accept that they may not be as tender as you'd like them to be because they were meant to mature faster. It's not that they don't like you. It's not that they don't take you serious, but it's just the character that was brought by how they were brought up and the expectations of them. So birth order is very vital. And just as I say that it tends to happen most of the time from how they are raised, does not mean that we have to expect it of each other and we have to treat each other according to this um, realization that has been made in society. We just need to love each other, support each other, regardless of where we stand in the line in the family. Then I also touched on the fact that you know when I was reading one time, they are actually saying you can be three children of the same parents, but you all have a different sets of parents because you are born at different times when your parents are experiencing different things. Maybe at the time when you were born, firstborns, for instance, there's a bit more resources because you just find two people who are jollering, and then you come in. They're probably still high in love and everything. So you're gonna find a warm environment. There's more resources. Whenever you cough once, you're taken to hospital. They're still having the joy of having the first child. But when you come in, when you're second, now mommy's starting to feel the fatigue of starting with the pregnancy, for starters. I know ladies will agree with me to say pregnancy. Actually, as doctors, we've noticed that pregnancy is more like almost like a disease because it can be dangerous, and it brings about a huge dynamic shift in the body that in some cases even goes on to affecting the mind of the lady. So we've seen things like postpartum depression, where someone who's just given birth, because of the huge responsibility, because of the huge changes in the physiology and the mentation of that person, they start getting depressed. So imagine if you're born from a parent who maybe in the first pregnancy they were okay, and then the second pregnancy they get depressed, they will raise you a different way. And maybe you are born at a time where the parents have gone through strife. Maybe now you're the third born. Honeymoon phase is over. Now they've started calling each other Yesis Webantu, and all those words. Uh, you being the child who's born at the time where it's no longer honey and darling, you are receiving a different set of parents, and it's making you to become a different child. But however, it's not intended. They are going through, they're navigating through life, and life keeps throwing these wrecking balls, and they have to dive, and at the same time they need to balance them. I'm happy Beacon of Light is having her little one here, so you can see she's doing her best to protect the young one. Imagine now a wrecking ball comes. It's a choice between surviving so that they can live to take care of this little one, and making sure that the little one is safe in my arms, and then at the very most, also making sure that when we dive, where we're gonna land, it's gonna be safe. Now that is a lot. So parents will tend to at some point maybe drop the child. maybe get their head hit, and thus it will change how they function and stuff. So it's important to understand and accept that when we are born in the same family, we may not be fully the same because of what I've just mentioned. And we need to be kind about it. We need to actually, when you become aware of that, don't use it against anyone, but rather use it to develop patience for dealing with situations. Because if mom, or let me use an example of dads, you'd find that dads, as the family grows bigger, they get stressed. Some of them start using alcohol, and when they come home, they're not very friendly to us. Maybe there may be a bit of abuse here and there. You find it's very easy to say that this is a useless father, this is a bad father, but he is a man. Sometimes you find he's still in his 30s who's struggling to find right footing in life, and thus he resorts to going that path. So you may want to think beyond you and how he makes you feel. Think, why is he doing that? What could he be struggling with? And you may be the one to call an uncle to come and say, hey, Babomkulu or Malume or whichever senior member, could you please come and help Dad? I think he's struggling with this. Now, we could also flip the coin and speak to a parent that is listening now to say that as you are struggling today, finding it hard to get footing, be mindful of the fact that how you're going to deal with the struggles is bringing about a certain individual in your child. Remember, we said we have that duty of modeling. So let's also be mindful as relatively young parents who are raising this 10-year-olds, 7-year-olds, 3-year-olds, and month-olds, that as we are trying to dive these wrecking balls, whatever that we do to ensure our safety and their safety must not be harming them spiritually and mentally, because the most dangerous scars are the ones that are not seen. Then the third responsibility for children is to grasp the vision from the parents. Remember, I said parents must fully define it. So as kids or maybe young adults, we need to grasp what is our purpose, what is our job in line with that which Dad told us that was Mkulu's wish. What do I have to do? Some of them may still remain the same. You still have to do exactly the same thing. Some of them may be transformed by time. You need to do something in line, but not necessarily exactly the same. But you need to grasp the vision. You need to develop the vision. You are living in an advanced time. So your doing must actually take the family vision to a higher level. You probably have better resources than your parents and way better than your forefather. So you need to do better things. You have a role to actually develop your mental capacity to develop the family vision. Even relationally, you need to make more acquaintances, more meaningful relationships that are assisting your family to achieve that which it came to do here on earth. Yeah. Then I think the one thing that I wanted to mention is also that we need to avoid competition to the children. We need to avoid competition and actually analyzing things from a point of why are they like that? Why are they not like that? But analyze to gain understanding so that you can relate to them better rather than to be always negative about things. That one is also a very big one. It's one thing that has led to it's another of the many things that has led to the disintegration of families. Because oftentimes you'd find people saying, because now he's gone to university, he's got a job, he's got a business, he thinks he's better than us. The person has not even said anything to that effect. He's always trying to help at home. Trying to help at home, helping you, helping your children, buying things for the family, and yet they are blamed that they think they are better because they are enjoying better resources which are coming from their hard work. Same as someone who's been fortunate and focused enough to achieve things in family, don't look down upon your siblings because they never went to school, because they are not married, because they don't have children, because of any other thing that makes them, in your view, to be inferior to you. They may be less privileged than you are, but they are still family. You never chose them, they didn't choose you. And remember, I said in the beginning, the purpose of that family lies in you working together. So let's not compete, guys. Rather, let's complement each other, let's support each other to ensure that the purpose, even the beauty of that family that we come from, is there for the people who come from outside it to see. For extended families, there's a role for supportive people, which may be uncles, aunties, it may be cousins, it may be the church, it may be godparents, all sorts of people that are close to our parents may come from time to time to have contact with the family. So if you are that one person, whether you're an uncle, you're an aunt, it is always important to try and understand the purpose of the people that you want to interact with. Yes, it's your brother. Yes, it's your sister's son. But try and understand what it is that your sister and your brother-in-law are trying to do, what they have understood their purpose to be before you go and say you want to help, before you go and say you want to correct them. Because yes, we come from the same family, but as we branch, our responsibilities differ. The most important thing is what? It's cooperation, and it's making sure that we're still moving towards one goal. More especially now in this aspect, as sisters get married, we know now they have, by expectation of culture, to be now focusing more onto their families where they've married into. So that's where they are now aligning to the vision of. So as we relate now, we need to be mindful of that fact and respect that she now submits to a different house. She now submits to a different lineage. But from time to time, her help may be required this side. As she comes back, she also needs to respect that she now belongs somewhere, in as much as she's still a part of us. So those thin lines demand a high level of respect. You can't close out an auntie of a discussion in your family because they are now married. But at the same time, they can't come and impose, especially bringing values of their family where they are now married into. So we need to respect those lines and understand that all of these things are happening because we are actually a building block of a bigger purpose, which is society and the nation at large. As we move towards the end, as I said, I would like us to converse more than me giving a lecture that I'm not qualified for. I just want to touch briefly on building strong bonds in a family, what we can do to build strong bonds. The first thing is effective communication, which is going to come up as a topic later, so I'm not going to delve much into it, but it's important to make sure that we communicate effectively to avoid conflicts, to prevent them, and when they have come, to healthily resolve them so that we can move on as a family. Time together is another very important thing that is essential for building strong bonds in a family. Now, I know we're living in a world where we need to work hard to make money. So, in as much as you may be away from your family, um, do make time to call. These days, we're living in technology. You can make video calls. Make sure you can show them things where you are. They can show you things where they are, so that we can continue to relate in a physical manner, you know. And when you do get an opportunity to visit them, make sure you do visit. These days, we have a tendency of saying, I'm broke, and thus I can't go home because I've got nothing to take home for them. I like a song or a lyric in Java song that says uh, something about Ikaya is the only place where kungangenwa khona ngemali, meaning that you don't need to have something, you don't need to have money for you to be able to enter home. So do visit, whether you have money or you don't have money, as long as you have enough to take you there and get you back, visit them. Don't wait until there's a funeral. We need to spend time together. Where you can invite people to where you're working, invite them. Make sure you spend time with them. And in these times that we spend together, we need to effectively communicate. Be deliberate about finding out how have you been since we last met. How are things going for you? And listen with an ear that actually wants to contribute to the response, not just brushing through. Then the next thing you're out there crying, and the next thing you're gone. You've not even found out how your family is doing. Um, then the other thing, it's important to constantly commit and recommit to the vision and the purpose of the family. And that is why it's important for it to be defined in the beginning by the parents. So no matter how upset you are, no matter what is happening, just remember that we are family. We ought to make sure that everyone that is amongst us is living an acceptable level of comfort that will render them useful in society. So to achieve this, we need to constantly apologize to our people whenever we've done something wrong. Reflect and apologize when you have done something wrong. As much as we have to forgive, oftentimes people will do things to us. Not to say that it's not important to forgive strangers, but where it's family, it's even more important to forgive, because lack of forgiveness and grudges is another big killer for families. There are certain factions now that don't speak to each other. They even go as strong as saying, "You don't even come to my funeral." And that starts because someone did not forgive someone. So we have to forgive. We have to be teachable. You may be educated, but your uncle and auntie, your parents, your grandparents know a lot more when it comes to the importance of the family. Um, just as much as you should also share knowledge. If you're educated, living in advanced societies, and then you've left your family in rural areas, you saw something that is relevant to your family, go home, educate them, and then assist them to achieve it so that the family can function in a bit more um, um, efficient manner. In the same light, with sharing knowledge, I just want to say be resourceful in general. Besides knowledge, be resourceful. Share your money with your family. Share your car with your family. Share whatever else that someone in your family needs. Of course, I'm not saying let's be open to abuse. You are sharing within your limits. You'll calculate how it's done. You will teach them how to respect you as you share what you're sharing. But there is a growing trend of us going to live in urban areas, forgetting our people in the rural areas. And then when they ask for help, we call it black tax, and we evade it. You may be as successful as you want where you are, but if your people are not getting help from you and you are living in excess, it has a bearing on who you become. So it's also good to share resources, particularly on things that have a long-term bearing on who they will become. Things like helping someone to get education, things like helping someone to get a job. You not necessarily have to take out money out of your pocket, but you know someone who's a director somewhere, you know someone who's a CEO somewhere, and your brother is struggling with a job. Help someone. Going to effective communication. I'm just going to try and be a bit fast because I'd like us to converse. As I mentioned earlier, it's one critical component of forming good bonds in the family. The important thing about effective communication is timing. When do we communicate what you want to? The condition of the person that you want to communicate to. Are they ready to communicate with whatever that you want to talk to them about? Or perhaps maybe you need an external person to assist you, you know. And when you communicate, you need to make sure that your message to the person is clear. Separate emotions from that which you want to pass on to them. Sometimes it's important and necessary to cool down before you communicate, especially when there's been a conflict, so that the message is not blurred by the emotion. And then whatever good thing that you were communicating is discarded because it came with the wrong attitude or it came with the wrong temperament. So it's important to make sure you communicate at the right time and your message is clear. Um, then also something that I mentioned earlier, when you communicate, it's important to understand character, mood, and mental state of the person that you want to communicate with, which will make it increases the chances when you understand these things of the person receiving it positively and you getting the desired intent of communicating to them. Yeah, beacon of light. I hope you're still with me.
I'm here, jotting down each and every single point. Wow, this is amazing. This is amazing. So was that all, or I'm just interrupting?
You're not interrupting. I'm happy to hear your voice. I'm just left with the last bit, which is resolving conflict, and then we'll go to conversation.
Perfect.
Yeah. So the last bit, guys, that we're gonna just brush through is resolving conflict. This is a very important point as well because, again, a lot of our families have been destroyed because of conflicts and the manner that we use to resolve conflict. And this destruction happens all the way from parents, and we know when parents are not okay, children will suffer, and then it goes all the way. There's also conflicts that come between parents and their siblings, meaning now it's an extended family thing. And that is why when you look into the society now, we're seeing a lot of drive towards the nuclear family kind of setup. And we're seeing a lot of our grandparents who are left alone in homes because we're saying we just don't want trouble. We don't want problems. And we grew up being told that we don't speak to Bosbanban because they killed our father, or we don't speak to Bobanban because Bas lawyer and all this and all that, you know. All that stems from the inability to recognize and resolve conflicts appropriately. So we need to know that blood wars are the deepest, and thus you need to be very mindful of going into a prolonged conflict with a sibling, with a family member, because I don't know why, but it's there. When you fight with someone from the family, it becomes a deeper fight, and it has bigger ramifications than fighting with a stranger. So the first and the best thing is to avoid them, and we've already spoken about how to avoid those things. Now, if there is a problem that begins, the important thing is to communicate it at the beginning. Make sure you don't keep thinking inside you and saying, hey, but you continue smiling at them and interacting with them as per usual, whilst inside you, you're building up some anger because of a problem that you've noted. Communicate from the start to say, hey, guys, I no longer like this. Hey, guys, I'm no longer coping with this. Hey, guys, I'm struggling with this. Back in the days, in the rural setup of an extended family, we used to have these rondavels where they would be used as prayer huts, but at the same time, they used to be used as resolution houses, where if someone was having a problem, essential family members, the important ones who are regarded as elders, would actually gather in there, bring the person who has the problem, speak to them, bring the other party, speak to them, and then together they would find a solution. We need to exercise a similar kind of thing, even if it's now a call online or whatever. But let us not let go of that practice of actually making sure that we pick problems early and we communicate them, and we do it with wanting to ensure that we have a bigger gain of making sure that as an entity we're all okay. I've spoken about apologizing, very essential part of resolving conflicts. Apologizing, it's when you've picked that there's something wrong that you have done. But there are instances where you have to apologize as a mature one, or the bigger person, as they may put it, for something that you've not done wrong, just because you want to calm someone, you want to bring them down to a point of communicating. And then maybe at a later stage, you will then communicate what you actually intended to do. But apology is one big essential ingredient of conflict resolution. The other thing is we have to be patient, guys, with our siblings, especially with our family members. Don't be upset by a family member once or twice and then you say, I'm done. Because you'll never be done with family. The blood that is in you is in them. So wherever you are representing them. Wherever they are, they represent you. So no matter how far you may be from them, you're connected to them. And chances are you think you're done, but the day you die, they will bury you. So let's be patient. Let us not easily get to a point where we say we're done with family. Keep thinking of multiple ways that you can try and resolve conflicts. Think of many people that you can bring to assist you. And most importantly, let's pray. Report these things to God, because some of them just come plainly from the fight between the kingdom of darkness and the kingdom of light that are seeking to destroy everyone in the family. So when you look at one person and say they're troublesome, you avoid them, you neglect them, and they will become the gate through which all the problems are going to come and destroy not just them, but all of you in the family. So let's be patient and forgive as many times as we can. And just to say, when there's conflict resolution, there's always something for you to sacrifice. Don't just say, I've been wronged here, I'm waiting for people to bring forth solutions, I'm waiting for people to apologize. Something that you have to sacrifice. One such sacrifice I've already mentioned is an apology where you don't have business apologizing, because you want to bring people down to the level of communication. You may want to put resources, like sometimes you will have to make a long drive from Joburg to Newcastle and Hlaganip to go and resolve something. You make a long drive you take a flight from Cape Town to Zimbabwe, or you take a flight from wherever, to go and say, I really want us to bury this hatchet, So there's always something to sacrifice when it comes to resolving conflict. And then also just to say that the older people, be it you're a parent or you're a senior sibling, always know that when we resolve conflict, you have responsibility over the younger ones. So in as much as you'd like to express how you feel, be mindful of the fact that people are looking up to you. People, even though they may be seemingly fighting with you, but how you respond will inform how they will stand and how they will carry their family identity moving forth. So always know, as a parent, you cannot be shouting at the highest of voices, hurling all sorts of insults at children. As a deputy parent, firstborn, you cannot be hurling insults at your lastborn, because you're just finishing everything. So as unfair as it may seem, you who's senior or you who's mature has a higher responsibility. Now, as I end, I want to share something that I found phenomenal that one of my pastors shared recently. To say that firstborns in families are not always the ones who were born first, but the one who's first to do things that have not been done before is a spiritual firstborn of the family. Oftentimes, we run away from that responsibility because, like for instance, myself, I'm a third born in a family of 6. There's been a number of times where I've seen things go wrong, and I had the solutions, but I used to think, I don't want to be the horse that goes before the cart. I used to think, no, my elder sisters have this, mom is there, but mind you, I'm the firstborn boy, so I bring about a different perspective. For the longest I ran until things got to very bad situations where there was fights and everything in the family. And now I couldn't help standing back, and I took charge and I played that firstborn role. So I just wanted to share this one because it hit me hard and it made me to understand why I've taken so much responsibility. To say that when you have been given things that others never had, when you have seen things in a manner others never had, you are the firstborn and you are the one who has a high responsibility over that family. Take it, and with the wisdom and the grace of God, guide your family to a better place. I think I'll end there for now. Petsile, thank you.
Wow. Wow. Ended on a high note. Oh my God. Wow. Amazing. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. I've learned so much. My notebook is full. I've even went on to the other pages. It's a mess. It's a mess. Wow. Amazing, amazing. Okay, but then can I ask these few questions? I'll just ask all these questions and then mute myself again, and maybe you just try to answer each and every one of them. Is that okay?
That's fine.
Perfect. Okay, the first one was, okay, I think you've answered this one, but I need you to delve deep a bit. Okay, the first one is even with the children, do we like choose the timing thing? Maybe like conflict resolution, they've done something. Do we choose a timing that, okay, I will address this at a later stage, or we just do the shouting, "Yay, Wanambana, why have you blah 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 blah," right? How does it go with that? Like practicality, because truth be told, we were raised by boomers and they raised us in a different manner. So what do we do now? Because wow, this is extremely hard. They call it gentle parenting, and I love it a bit, but I want to know how,
Sure.
right? And then there is this part whereby I heard you talking about black. At the same time, I heard you saying it's okay to go home without actually bringing money with you, which even mentions Java's song here. But then black text is a thing. It is there, truth be told. So when you come home, ulengise tandla, and some homes says really they're like, oh, like yeah, really there's the stigma. So what is done there? How do I find the balance between black text and being, hey, I'm going home where the heart is, where I don't have to be wealthy to be there. I'm just worth it with my empty pockets. So how do we find that sweet spot? Another part is, what is your take about this thing of the girl child? I heard you mentioning that the girl child is now required to go to another home to serve into another home. What do you think about that kind of thing in line with culture? Do you think it also needs to be reviewed, or it's still okay, it's still aligned with our evolution? And I heard you mentioning the part whereby you're saying parents should pass on these teachings which were taught by their grandparents down, 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 down till the generation and all that. It's called giving the baton to the next runner, right? But what if this baton is rotten? Why do you still have to run with this rotten baton to the finish line? So I don't know. How do we deal with such teachings, and how do we draw the line between a rotten pattern and a fresh one? Okay, for example, misogyny back in the day was okay. Like, hey, umfati uyaguca, right? A woman must submit regardless, right? So there was a point whereby it was like, no. that is misogyny, right? So it kind of turned into being a good cultural norm into misogyny. So how do we know when to draw the line? But okay, I should pass on this baton to the next generation because it's still relevant. Or now this is where I'm breaking this kind of practice. Let me call it that.
Sure.
And
Can we
then,
stop there for now?
oh, pause there for now.
Can we pause there? Then we'll take the others
Oh,
a bit later if it's okay with you.
perfect, perfect. It's okay. It's
Your
okay.
last, your last question is I don't know if I would say catchy and tempting to just go on and on about it. But let me start in the beginning so that I don't go according to my excitement.
Okay.
Sure. For children, I think timing, yes, it's relevant to everyone, whether it's a child, an adult. But I think circumstances will dictate whether you speak to them straight away or you're gonna leave it for later. Like for instance, if they're in imminent harm, you can't say you're gonna wait until later. You have to speak to them at the time. And also, I think where emotions are involved, there are times where you'd find yourself to having shouted. You know, it's something in as much as we can try to avoid, but it's instinct. You know, you will do it, and in some instances because of instinct. You know, it just came and you did it very fast. Then the important thing that if you feel that I was rather a bit more extreme and less constructive, you review yourself and how you acted a bit later, and then maybe you can then revisit the conversation with the child to say, my son, I'm sorry, or maybe start by saying, how do you feel about this thing? And then, of course, they may express that they were not happy. And then that is where you can then delve into it to say, you know what, I didn't mean to shout, but it's just that mommy doesn't like you doing this thing. And when I've told you 10 times, of course, it heightens my emotion and I end up shouting at you. But I don't mean to belittle you. And also, I am expecting of you to understand this and always behave in a manner that is in keeping with what we stand for in this house, you know, particularly for elder children who are now getting to the stage of branching into their own personalities, you know, that is the teenagers and the early 20s, you know. So it's very important to be mindful of the fact that they are developing their own being. But actually, if you are more attentive to psychosocial development, as young as 5 years, because a 5-year-old is biting onto a newer person than that which they were at 3 years. So at each stage, when they're climbing a step, they want to know that I'm respected and my evolution into this new being is recognized and supported. You know, I hope it answers. Then black text. I'm forgetting the name. There's a podcaster from a Xhosa guy. He used to play in Yizo Yizo. I'm forgetting his name. I think he was Seix on Yizo Yizo. He says on one of his podcasts, there's nothing, there's no such a thing as black text, according to him. Black text is a term that has been brought by people who have lost the soul of the African family. Because in the African family, everything that we have jointly is for all of us. But at the same time, I'm not gonna now play small and evade the fact that there are people who are selfish, parasitic, lazy, and manipulative in our families. Some don't take responsibility for their own lives, and then they start expecting people who have taken the responsibility in the same environment to then come back and take care of them, which is not fair. But if you look at the long hold and the bigger picture of the family, you may want to sacrifice just a bit here and there to ensure that you don't build strife in them. They don't look at you and say, you are the better one. Because that's oftentimes how witchcraft develops in family. You know, the Bible says that anyone who witchcraft is like, it's a hard thing, basically. I don't want to quote it verbatim. I just want to apply it in this context to say witchcraft is a hard thing. Witchcraft is when your brother starts looking at your nice car and says, because you didn't help them when they needed genuine help in some cases. So what I would say, in my own view, not to say it's the ultimate, in our nuclear families, we ought to draw our budgets, and a part of that budget should go into helping our people in the extended family. So then it can be it can be circumstances that can dictate: do you give them cash? Do you buy them monthly groceries or whatever? It's relevant to each case. For instance, if I may put an example, in our household, my family, the Shabangus, me and my wife decided that we're gonna swap the responsibilities. I take care of her family, and she takes care of mine. So whenever they have a need, they speak to her. When my in-laws have a need, they speak to me. Because of the dynamics of our families, in my family, we send money. We usually buy them stuff every month, but for her family, we send the money, you know. So it differs from time to time. Then there are needs that may arise after you have actually shared that portion. Say maybe your sister is now struggling with a child whom she's not able to pay school fees. Now, that one is a hard matter. You have to feel for your sister to say that you want your nephew or your niece to complete school. But the question is, do you have the money at that point? Are you at peace with your wife or your husband over that money that you want to spend? When you spend that money, are you not going to be left with your own? Or better yet, you could think, okay, I can portion and I can speak to someone else to assist me with actually getting the whole portion. The responsibility, currently I'm not okay. I will take care of it at a certain time. My in a nutshell, if I were to summarize, black text brings with it this notion to say my responsibility is to me and the people that are from me, my wife and my children, your husband and your children. But I think that is false. We have a responsibility over our grandparents. We have a responsibility over our uncles, our aunties. But that responsibility does not mean that as and when they ask for help, we should always have. We budget for it and we will give when we can. But we should always have a heart of wanting to assist them. I hope it answers that part too. Another interesting question, the one of the context of today's generation and the girl child. I presume you mean a lady who's now married into another family. Is it still relevant that they should now go and submit to the other side? I'm a bit more traditional, Petit, and I'm very conscious of what being African means. So I'm gonna give my answer in this light. For me, I think it's still relevant, and I think abruptly moving away from this is partly responsible for what we're seeing in society today. It's an old age thing. From the Bible times it was done. And when I look at it, I've not seen many advantages of going against that, particularly in cases where the beginning of the family is done right, where the lady and the guy who are going to get married are getting married because it is God's will of them to get married. because family is a thing that is very close to God's heart. So it comes from him, actually. So we ought to do it because we perceived from him that this is the guy that God meant for me to marry. This is the lady that God meant for me to marry. And how do you get that? You pray for them. You wait for them in God. And then he eventually gives them to you. And then when you start relating, then of course the lady will then take into the guy's family, and then she becomes a child there, she becomes a member there, and then family carries on. I'm open to debate that, because I know with open minds and all this, I don't know what other term I'll use for our advancement, as we call it, as if it is. We tend to then look at things from different perspectives. It's okay. That's why I wished we could all delve in and give our perspectives, because I'm in no way bringing all the knowledge from a point of superiority. But yeah, for me, in a nutshell, I would think it's still relevant, but it's just that it comes with responsibility onto the family that the lady is going to. They need to respect her. They need to allow her to grow into the full potential that God meant for her. The same way they could do with their daughters who are born in their family of their surname. So she must not be seen as an inferior, because I think why then society would start frowning at some of these things is because there's been abuse, as you said, Betsy, that some people just say, yo, namfati, hambo washa, hambo nakunja, and all this. No. We need to be open-minded. I think it's no longer a time where I could wait for 2 days for clean clothes because my wife is away, and thus I can't put on new clothes. I have to wash. I have hands. I have to wash. If my wife is late, she's held up somewhere, supper time is coming, for one reason or another, she can't make, either I order food or I cook, you know. It's now moved on to a partnership thing. So when you marry into my family, you become my sister, and I will treat you the same way that my sister, give you the same treatment that I give to my sister, and I expect the same thing to happen when I marry her into my family. When I interact with my brother-in-laws, they treat me like their brother, you know. I think that's the advancement that we can put to it, to remove just that oppressive element of it without actually discarding the whole thing. And then the baiting that is rotten. It's important for us to carry baitings. It's important for us to understand what that baiting is. Oftentimes it gets rotten because someone somewhere did not pay attention in understanding it. And then it allowed for someone with a divergent mind to pollute it. And no one questioned them. No one held them to standard and order of what was before we became. And thus it got polluted, and then that was the beginning of the passing on of the polluted baton. Now, remember I said God is the one who downloads these things. He's the one who can actually show you something that was in the heart of a grandfather or grandmother who was 6 generations before you. If you check back into your generations, you may find another beacon of light. You may be carrying a mandate that was done by a great grandmother, such that people who would have been old enough to have lived with them, they would look at you and they'd be like, so and so vugil, you know. So the rottenness of it comes because someone diverted from the original form. So now, if we cautiously sit in the house of our family and we seek the wisdom and the guidance of God, God will reveal its original form to someone, and thus they will be able to rise and correct it. So it's not to say, when I say we have to take the baton, we just have to accept every raw thing that they bring to us. but we need to accept it prayerfully, consciously, and thoughtfully, so that we know that indeed this is what works for the Shabangus. And we need to consult as well, because that is where you'll be able to discover that no, this thing has been corrupted. So you consult, you pray, and then you mix all these things, and you're able to be able to receive or to question that which you have to receive before you receive it. And also that's where the importance of us as the beings that are actively alive today to be united, because as we are together, one will bring this element and another bring another element, and then jointly we are able to digest that which our parents are telling us, and then form it into that which we believe is right for us today, and is going to be right for us to live for our children.
Sure, sure. Wow. Well put. Amazing. Wow. Yeah, I feel wow. Just wow. Okay, I feel like you've answered some of the questions. For example, how to deal with postpartum depression. I think that one was answered by the essentials for strong bonds, because if you communicate, you'll know what this person needs, avoid conflict, be teachable. This person will tell you, okay, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling that because of that. So yeah, be teachable. I think, yeah, the essentials for strong bonds will help you deal with postpartum depression as a family, and also with how to deal with the lack of honeymoon phase. I think also that is tackled by the strong bonds part. Oh, yes. I wanted to clear that you are the guest here, so we're listening to your perspective. Don't worry about other people's perspective. If you're a traditional man, then perfect. We're here to listen to you today. Today, your day. You are cooking us. Okay, then there's this last question. Okay, say you're having maybe problems or difficulties in your family. There's a nucleated family. Now you need the intervention of aunties and uncles, right? Just like you said, that Sekwabate elders, we don't have elders nowadays, but then let's say the others, uncles, auntie and all that, but they're like, nah, we don't care, maybe something like that. How do we tackle such issues? Because yeah, we're having a problem right now in this family, but nobody cares. So how do we tackle those kind of things?
Sure. All right. Maybe I'll go back a bit to postpartum depression, because it's a very touchy topic, and I've seen a lot of it. It does not need to have many cases for it to have the long-lasting ramifications that come with it. First and foremost, I wish there was more men on the call for us to discuss this part, because it needs to be discussed to men. But maybe in our men talk sessions, we'll actually one day speak about postpartum depression. So for me, I always say a man has to be pregnant with their wife. It should not just be because your wife is carrying the child that it's her thing. From the beginning, the day that she tells you she missed a period, you need to be mentally conjoined with them in carrying what she's going to carry physically, because what she's carrying physically, she's carrying mentally, she's carrying spiritually. So now it becomes important for the man to be part of anticipating the changes that are going to happen to her in her life, and be jointly involved, in providing the environment for actually making sure that whatever change is going to work to the positive. If it's working to the negative, it's curtailed to a certain level where it's not going to affect the livelihood of the lady. And that now does what? It maintains the bond, even though now she's different. For instance, one thing that often affects people during this period is intimacy and conjugal rights, as they may put it, intercourse. It may be difficult because of hormonal changes. She may be turned off, and the structural changes. She may be getting back pains and all these things. So instead of the guy thinking what their testosterone is pushing them to want now, you should be thinking, she is doing something for us. and be investing in means of saying, okay, how can I push away this age because it cannot be met the way that I'm used to, you know. And also the financial demands are important. Let's make sure that everything that she needs, cravings come, many other things will need money during pregnancy. So let's make sure that that money is there. That is why I always say it's important to plan to have a child. You can't just discover that you're pregnant. You have to plan because it needs money, you know. So when we don't have that money, there has to be good communication once more to say, okay, baby, I don't have this now, but let's do this and what not. Nicely, instead of shouting at her and saying, where do you think I get this money, you know. Thirdly, there must be an attempt and a deep effort of maintaining the pre-pregnancy high relationally. Let's still be gentle. Let's still have that courtesy, you know, and do most of the things, because it won't be all. Most of the things that we express love to each other with when we're not pregnant, you know. And then also another crucial thing that ladies themselves don't even do: pregnancy. We need to read about. The day someone misses a period, there must be a book that we read. There must be sites on the internet that we read explaining the changes that are going to happen. Because some of the things that create a rift between the man and the woman during pregnancy is because the things are alive, they're happening in the woman's body. She feels them. Some of them, she can't even express them in words. The man is like oh, we're deaf, or, you know, you're being funny or whatever, you know, because it's just like, really, is it that painful? Then the next thing we go to, because some of the things you're feeling when you go to hospital, they check your blood pressure, they check everything, you're fine, but you are feeling it. So it's important to read the books that actually explain that there are things that happen that you need to be a bit more, you know, caring and supportive. So that, because oftentimes what will cause the postpartum depression, besides the hormonal shift and the mental shift, it is all the build up of things that happen during the pregnancy, the neglect, the lack of, you know, that care, that emotion, you know, it builds up. But because the lady has a maternal instinct, at that time she's focusing on making sure that what is inside me shall not lose track until the baby comes alive on earth. So it's fine. I'll take every spear and every needle and every bullet to make sure that this baby lives. Now 9 months is a long time to be doing that, because it's like you cease to exist for 9 months. So by the time you achieve your goal of delivering this live baby, then the body is now able to feel all those things that you shut down, and they all come at once, and then that's why it then pushes you down. So as the man of the house, or the husband, is consistently helping during pregnancy, you are actually reducing the number of things that are going to pop up at birth, you know. And then the only thing we have to deal with is just the stage or the change in hormonal profile and the mental state, you know, which becomes then a bit lighter. And even then, it may still be significant. You still need to support after the baby's born, because now the lady's body has changed. You know, she is not so confident about how she looks and how she feels when she's in the dresses. You know, so we need to reassure each other, to reassure the lady, to say, baby, you just have done something that benefits us, and not just us. You've just done something that makes even our forefathers proud. You've done something that makes God proud. You've actually brought an extension of our family. So you've done something big. So that is why you are the way that you are. But this is not your permanent stage. I will support you back to a stage where you're comfortable and you're confident in your body. Then that takes away that feeling of depression. it's a big topic on its own, but I just wanted to touch on it because it's very vital. But also, the lady has to invest in herself. When you read those books, it actually alleviates certain things. When you go to the doctor, just don't be worried about the health of the fetus, but also communicate with the doctor about what you're feeling, even mental things. I'm more moody. What is happening? Then, as you get explained to why certain things are happening, then it makes you to live better with it. What is the other question again, Petsinia? After
Part is the part whereby say go about the elders or
oh
they're
yeah,
there, but say no, sitting game, something like that.
yeah, that one is very tough. It's a very, very tough one because it brings a situation that's got cul-de-sac vibes where it feels like yeah we're stuck. But I want to say, as I said earlier, God presides over family. He owns family. So the biggest person to consult with during times of conflict or challenge in a family is God. So it's important to pray. It's important to tell even the people that you're in conflict with or that you're having struggles with that I'm praying for you, you know. And God will often do the unthinkable. He will move the hearts of people that were seemingly unmoved. But to give a more physical answer to that, oftentimes you find that the people that will say asingeni are the ones who are more closer. But if you broaden the network, there's probably another babelomncane or auntie or mamncane from another mkulu, you know, who probably knows the root of what you could be suffering from at the time that you could actually engage. You know, of course, now there you need to balance confidentiality clauses, not necessarily clauses, but you know, some certain people would say, asifuni ukuthi sote nabo bani lathi endzabeni tasekhaya, what, you know. You read those energies and then you respond according to that. But there's always that one extra person that you can bring outside the closer knit family setting. Or even someone from church may come in at play and help. Someone who is closer to the person who is being the most difficult during the conflict resolution can come into play, where you could get someone who's their friend to come and reason with them so that they see that these people are not actually just looking at winning against me, but they're looking at finding a solution with me. Why would they bring someone that is my friend? Because I thought they're against me, you know. So yeah, I'm sure there's many other options. And the other option is seeking professional help, which I know in our countries may not be that much available, but we do have um, psychologists and social workers who are able to assist in such instances, you know. So there's literally a wide and way of doing it, but it's just that case by case will dictate which one is appropriate.
Wow, I'm blown away. I think I don't know. I don't even know what to say, but I believe that everybody today has taken something away, has been cooked, thoroughly cooked. So right now we're taking questions. Anybody with a question? Shame otherwise from me. Thank you, me dog. I don't know. Do we say doctor? What's your title? What's your preferred? But here, just for the purpose of this interaction, we use our God-given name. So thank you, Samkeliso Shabangu, for joining us today. We were sponsored by Eswatini Mobile. So anybody with a question, I don't think anybody is okay, but I see people here. Anybody with a question? Questions are very much welcome right now. It's question time. But then no, I think I don't know. I've learned so much. I thought I was somehow advanced in line with family dynamics, but wow. I mean, wow, the amount of things I learned today is just Ah, it's mind blowing, really. It's really mind blowing. Okay, I don't see any questions. I think everybody is happy and well cooked because here we don't live rare, we live well cooked.
Oh.
Otherwise, thank you, Mr. Samkeliso Shabangu. Yes, you're saying something, sir?
No, no, no. So
Oh,
I was just appreciating what you're saying.
oh, perfect. No, thank you for being there, guys. We truly appreciate you for being here. This wouldn't be a success without you guys. Samkeliso Shabangu, wow, wow, wow. Thank you for actually putting this together last minute and learning Instagram fast, fast, fast. You, sir, are a genius. And thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
And,
bye. Bye, everybody. Good night. Good night. Good night. Good night.